so he said it was okay. Now, officially we're into interview mode. And basically what we're talking about is 1980 when we came here to Australia. Mm-hmm. So the first question is, when and how did you first hear of the Ducharme family?
Well, Sally rang us from Sydney, and she said that she had met this Canadian family who had arrived in Australia under some strange invitation which didn't work out, and they really wanted to visit a farm, and they were staying for a week or so at Manly, and she had said to them that maybe her parents would be happy to have this family come and stay at our farm. So that was it was just a telephone call from Sally, and she was checking to see if we were prepared to do that. Mm-hmm. That's how we first heard about the Ducharmes.
Good. Second question. How did you feel about receiving strangers in your house like that?
Well, we were, as we told Sally, we were quite happy to do it. We had entertained a few people from overseas at various times. Mostly they were students who were studying in Australia, but we always found them interesting and informative, and we were only too pleased to have the Ducharmes come. But there was a minor difficulty, and one of our best friends, a woman called Annie Dalton, had just died about 2 days before we got that phone call. But even so, we thought, so what? We'd still like to have these Canadians. It'd be interesting to meet them.
Could even be a bit distracting from the situation.
Yeah, exactly. It would help to
get over the
resume
grief.
Normality. And it proved to be ever so much of that.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
It did.
In terms of, let's say, memories of events that happened during their stay, could you think of maybe 3 events that stick out in your memory? Or less, whatever amount you have that you can think of. Any events that stick out, like really stick out?
Well, one thing that sticks out, it's not really an event, but it was just the fact that the first morning you were there, Jeanette went off to work in town, and I had to be in the shearing shed at 7:30, and we just got up and we left the house, and we just told our visitors to help yourself. And
the first morning? That was the first
very
morning?
First morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't even
We
know.
just vacated the house and left the house to yourselves, and you had to get your own breakfast. You had to find everything in the kitchen. There was no one there when you got out of bed, and this did prove to be no trouble to the Ducharmes, and that stuck in our minds as these are good people to have in the house. They can look after themselves.
And they won't steal the silverware.
Well, we were a bit concerned about the silverware, but we didn't ever miss anything. Another sort of fond memory that I have is you, Vital, pressing the wool. We were shearing sheep at the time, and of course you were pretty interested to see this process, and you wanted to help. So on the first day, I think, Vital was in the wool press, tramping the wool to press it into the press, and it's fairly hard work, and it was pretty hot, but there was Vital stamping away and as usual, helping out.
I don't think I ever had as much lanolin in my shoes as I did at that point.
That's right.
But it was good for the shoes.
Yeah, probably good for Vital too.
Yeah.
But another strong memory I have is the day Elaine came back to the house. We were waiting for the kids to come to have lunch, I think, and they were away for some time, and eventually he came in, and he wasn't crying, but he was on the verge of it, and we said, "What's wrong?" You were there too when he came in.
I know what Helen's going to say.
We said, "What's wrong, Elaine?" And I don't think he told me. He told you that he'd been down to the yard where we had two horses, or a couple of horses in the yard, and for some reason he'd opened the gate and let them out. And he'd spent the last 20 minutes running around this paddock trying to get these horses back into the yard, and he was not successful. He couldn't do it, and he thought he'd done something wrong, and he was very upset about it, and came in to tell us what happened.
I hadn't even remembered
I'll just
that.
add a little bit to that. What happened is that the horse, when it escaped, trampled on his only pair of sneakers and ripped the sneaker off his foot. And now he knew he'd have to have a new pair of shoes too.
No, I wasn't aware of it. So he was really upset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, those are three very good memories. Next question. Did you think you would ever see us again?
Yeah. I
You
was very sure that we would. I mean, you'd been staying with us for what, two or 3 weeks?
3
Yeah.
weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
We had established a very firm friendship in that time, starting from nothing, and we knew that you were our friends for life. Yeah, we were sure we would see you again.
Good.
That's
Good.
beautiful.
And well, the first time we saw you again was when
98? Oh no, when you came to Canada.
we visited you in Canada, and
Yes.
you looked after us like kings or queens. Yeah.
Yeah. And you came at the right time because there was a huge
Snow.
amount of snow.
Yeah.
It was in March.
We walked out. You took us to a ski resort.
Yeah.
Where, what was it called?
Montebello.
Montebello. It was even colder than Hull. we didn't think that was possible at first, but Jeanette and I went for a walk before breakfast at this place, and our breath was hurting or rasping. It was so cold outside. We were pleased to get back inside where the air was a bit warmer. That was probably the coldest conditions I've ever felt.
Is that right? That's great.
But it was a great trip where we went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did a lot of traveling, I think.
Yeah.
We went Quebec, Ontario, and so on. Okay, final question, unless you have something else to add. When you read the little booklet that I sent you, the short story of a long trip, when you did read that, right?
I did.
Not just a paragraph that you said
Well,
you had a squire.
First of all, I read the part about the tailors.
Okay, of course you want to do that.
But then I did read the whole story, yes.
Okay, now when you read that booklet, was there anything in there that surprised you, that you were amazed at, or that you never knew, or that it was a surprise?
Not really amazed, but certainly surprised. I didn't realise the severity of your difficulties in Russia.
Oh, yeah.
Although I'm sure you told us the story, and I knew you'd had a collision with your vehicle, but I didn't realise that it had been tipped on its side for a start. And I certainly didn't realise you'd been left standing there in the rain and taken away for
hours.
a breath test.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were. Oh yeah, we both thought at the time, because you did tell us about your troubles in Russia, and we had been to Russia in '75, and we had got on very well. We were very well received everywhere, and we'd spent a lot of time on this train. But we'd spent 10 days or so in Russia, in Soviet Union.
Yes.
And we only had kind thoughts of it. So we were very surprised to hear of this treatment of you. It was very bad. I mean, I can't imagine why they left you like that. It's unconscionable.
When you went, were you part of a group or a
No, we
tour or
weren't.
something?
Just two of us.
Just the two of you?
But we were with a lot of other tourists on the Trans-Siberian train.
Ah, okay.
But all up and down the train, the Russian people were very kind to us.
Well, I have to say, Hedley, I'm afraid it left maybe a wrong impression. That was the treatment by the police in an
The
accident.
military.
Yeah, I know, but I
The
mean they're the
official.
ones that
They
should
give
have
the
been
image.
should have been looking after you. Yeah,
Yeah.
no excuse for that.
I
But
agree.
other Russians we met were absolutely fine, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
got treated well in many places, so maybe it's too bad that happened, because it left us with a
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll bet. Yeah, like you,
Okay.
you said, you'd never go.
I'd
Never
never
go
go
there
again.
I don't blame you.
Maybe I'll change my mind. I'm not sure. I'm not at that point yet.
No.
So, well, that's all the questions I had on my list. Is there anything else that you'd want to put in?
Oh well, you're very kind to us in your story. So I think I should reciprocate to the extent that we were and still are very pleased that Sally rang us up and said,
Okay.
"Would you have this Canadian family come and stay on your farm for a few days?" Because we enjoyed it immensely, and it's been sort of productive ever since.
No regrets.
No regrets at all, Vital.
It's
Great.
been a wonderful friendship for us,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
special.
And it's ongoing, still going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you very much, Adley.
Pleasure to speak to you.